Hey, did you know?
More than 4,500 Canadians are waiting for an organ transplant right now.
Right now. 4,500.
People are dying.
And you could save a life. 90% of Canadians say they're willing to donate their organs.
But only a few are registered.
So what are you waiting for? Get registered.
It's easy and it's free.
Leave a legacy. Be a hero.
Save a life.
Find out how to register today. Go to kidney.ca.
The unrest is growing. The power building.
It's anarchy rules!
The unthinkable has become a reality. The ultimate battle for the Impact World Championship.
Who's the best in the world? Crowd is electric!
Is upon us.
I'm shocked! Are we looking at the next world champion?
Impact Wrestling presents Rebellion. Live Sunday, April 28th, only on pay-per-view.
This is Rogers TV. Barry.
Hi, I'm Rev.Jessie Brandon, and you're watching Epiphanies. Now, I'm a life cycle celebrant and an ordained minister, and I get to bring my two favorite things together, people and books. So here with me on the set today is Amanda Ingram Cotton, and she is a mind and body coach, and we are discussing Born to Run, a hidden tribe, super athletes, and the greatest race the world has never seen. It's by Christopher McDougall, and it's an epic adventure that began with one simple question: why does my foot hurt? And on that note, tell me about the book.
So this book is kind of interesting because I wasn't sure I wanted to do this book, but intuition just kept saying, nope, this is the book, this is the book. And now that I'm on a journey of listening to that intuition a little bit more than I used to, I was like, okay. And the reason why this book keeps coming up is because it's a wonderful book that goes into why we run, how it's something that we were meant to do. It's in our DNA. And on a very personal level, it changed my life. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It sent me down a journey of finding myself again, kind of coming home. So the book itself is about Christopher McDougall. He's a journalist, and he kind of goes from someone who likes to run, as it says here, is injured, and comes into the world of barefoot running, goes and looks into why we are meant to actually run barefoot. And it actually started the barefoot running craze that kind of came through. I think this was written around 2008. So in and around then.
Penny should be watching this show. She is the barefoot queen. She's been all over the world, and she walks barefoot.
Which is amazing. In terms of the barefoot, I tried it, and I happen to fall into a very small category of people who it's not the best idea for me to do that because I severely pronate, which I'm sure some medical professionals may say that there's a way for me to do barefoot, but but anyway, so what? And it's a super fascinating book. And what I took away from it was that we are all technically meant to run. Built to run, I should say. And that is something that it doesn't matter how you look or what your body type is, we can move our bodies. And that sparked something in me because when I was younger, we were always just, my maiden name's Stoutenberg, my father would just say, Stoutenbergs don't run. So I was like, okay, we don't run. And that wasn't a pivotal moment per se, but that was part of me learning to be someone that wasn't necessarily who I am deep within.
Okay, sorry, the being told we don't run?
Yeah, so it kind of started that I believe we know who we are when we're children. And when there's nothing encumbering us. Like my children right now run around with not a care in the world. And as we get older, we kind of start fitting into a box. Some of us, I did. And with a moment of reading this and going, well, why can't I? Why can't I also run? So I started. And that moment was the moment that I started unlearning a lot of stories that were deep within me.
Yeah, and that's the limiting beliefs that we take on as we grow up, and then we spend our adult life trying to sort them out and get rid of the limiting ones. And
right, because the second I started running, I kind of went, what else have I been telling myself that I can't do that I can do? And what this book also talks about is that we are kind of designed to go slowly for a long period of time, which makes sense back in the days when we were hunter-gatherers, where we would have to go long distances. Anthropologists have even found some groups that, very remote, still hunt by running. And it's very interesting. They go into detail, and it's an art of separating one animal from the herd constantly, and they try to, because animals don't have an ability to cool themselves down, which we do. So you can actually run an animal to the point where it can't go any further, which if you don't believe in eating meat and stuff like that, you may not love that story. But
well, there was a time when that was necessary.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So that was also interesting because what I found was when I started to run, I just went, I'm going to run. So I went out, ran as fast as I could, thought I was going to keel over, and was like, this is not fun. And it can be really discouraging, especially when you have a partner like my husband who can run quickly. And instead of being discouraged by that, I again, one day was out and went, you know what, I'm just going to go as fast as I feel comfortable. And again, it was another shift of me going, okay,
I can do it my way.
My way.
Yeah.
And that turned into, okay, I don't enjoy going fast. Can I go far? Which turned into a whole trying to go further and making a decision that I wanted to run beyond the distance of a marathon, which is it's called an ultra marathon. And the reason I bring this in is because that was where I started running on trail. And this brought in a spiritual element for me, because the second I set a foot on a trail was the moment I went, oh, like I am meant to be here. This feels like I've done this for 1,000 years. And I run in a fairly old forest, and I believe very fully that forests have spirits within them. I feel like you can't have living things who've been alive for hundreds of years and not have some kind of amazing energy in there. So it was getting me out to the forest again and reminding me of when I was a kid and how much I loved being out in the forest. And that was bringing back that spiritual side of me that was lost over the years. And getting away from the traffic and the noise and the people yelling at you out their windows when you're running on the road, like that, all that kind of stuff. And it was a wonderful, wonderful moment to kind of just, again, start coming back to myself. And that was about 5 years ago. And that, for me, was the true beginning of coming back. And I ended up going on to run 100 miles.
You ran 100 miles?
As a 100-mile race, that was my goal. And it was the hardest, greatest thing I've ever done. Children withstanding, of course.
Yeah.
But the people ask me, like, why? And I was like,
because I don't even like driving 100 miles.
Well, number one, I love it. I mean, you have to like running in some way, shape, or form. I didn't used to, though. Like, I'll be very honest, and it wasn't something that came to me easily. I was last all the time in school when you had to do track and field, all that stuff. Like, it was never something that came to me until I allowed it to be something in my life and to take shape. And this was just that for me. I mean, obviously, this is something different for everybody. For me, it was running. And it strips you of everything when you run 100 miles. It took me 29 and a half hours nonstop. That is not fast, by the way, and that's okay.
And you don't stop?
No, I would stop to stand and eat, but it got to the point where, like, if I stopped for too long, I couldn't get back up again, so we were just going to keep moving. So it was always moving. And yeah, there's something very empowering about being down to your base level. Like, I know who I am, I believe, at like when nothing, like there's nothing else. It's just me and my emotion, and I like that person. I like the fact that that person went, no, I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna stop, we're not gonna give up.
Yeah.
And it changed, it has kind of changed everything for me. Crossing that finish line, that confidence, confidence in my body as well. So it shifted. It began the shift of how I saw myself. I, like most women, unfortunately have things about myself I don't like. Unfortunately, we all do. But running kind of made me go, okay, maybe I don't like my legs. I don't have the thigh gap, if you will. That was very popular when I was younger. Probably still is.
I don't know.
I don't really pay attention anymore, but I kind of went, but if these legs can carry me 100 miles, I'm pretty happy with them.
Yeah.
And it was that shift again. So all these shifts that keep happening throughout this journey that I've been on, and just that belief that, like, you can. And when I talk to women within my job as well, and I always share that, like, it sounds so cliche, but you can do anything you put your mind to. I do believe that to be true. I didn't before. I thought it was a really cheesy thing to say to people.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, no, it's true. Like, you can. And that kind of has only grown as I've gotten older, I guess, and wiser. I've had 2 children. That my kids, again, change everything. Kids change everything in a good way. And it was just, when I kind of started changing with the running, when I had my kids, I was more in tune with myself, and I knew that I was suffering from anxiety. I didn't really have a name for it at the time, but I knew that there was something wrong. And I went and did something about it, which I always encourage anyone who's having struggles with that stuff. I understand sometimes it's not fun to speak out about it and to talk about it, but if you do know that, like, there is something you can do about it.
Yeah.
And that for me was kind of that moment to be like, wow, everything that I thought was a weakness in my life is my strengths. So the sensitivity, the intuitiveness, being an empath, all of those things that I have been crushing down, trying to fit into this box, just doesn't have to be that way. I don't have to fit into this box.
Right.
I'm allowed to actually see these things as just strong, powerful things that I do. From a young age, I really wanted to help people. I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a teacher. And then I didn't do those things. To be fair, those things probably weren't the capacity in which I would have shone. But instead I did something different, and I went into corporate world. And kind of was who I thought I needed to be. And through running, through my children, I kind of went, no, this box isn't me. And I've spent these past few years, especially this past year, unlearning all of those things. And
this book is what started that?
It started all of it for me. So,
really cool.
Yeah.
So is there something in the book that you would want people to know? Is there a part that you can read, or?
I think the best thing to know about this book this book is actually just a really great read. If you're interested in running Have you ever thought about it? If maybe you're kind of like, no, it's not for me. When you read this book, it makes you want to go for a run, which I love.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what kind of I took from this is that you can do it if it's what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be running.
Yeah.
It can be something else. But like when we have the passion and the drive to do something, we can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I take from this book. And it's interesting because it's probably not what a lot of people take from this book.
Yeah.
But it's what I take from it, and the fact that you can run for a really long time.
Yeah, that's amazing that you did 100 miles. Like, that just blows me away.
Yeah, and it was, like, I want to eventually go back and do more. The time it takes to train for these things, I mean, I'm taking a little pause while my children are very young, because I have a 1-year-old and a 3.5-year-old, so we're a little busy right now, but it's just, it's a part of my life, and I've helped many women learn how to run as well, and my family. My father actually ran an ultra marathon with me as well, after all those years being all like, no, we don't do it.
Stimblers don't run.
Yeah.
Say that last name again.
Stoutenbergs don't run. Yeah.
Stoutenbergs don't run.
So we
love that.
Yeah.
Did you get him a T-shirt that says?
You know what? I absolutely should. I totally should. Because so it's been able to help me share that with other people as well and show them what they're capable of.
And what I'm getting is it's not just about running, like you say. It's anything. If you want it bad enough, you even just want to try it, because that's certainly the perspective I come from, is not necessarily whether I want it bad enough, but gee, you know, I think I'd like to give that a try.
Absolutely, and see if it's something that sparks something in you.
Yeah.
And maybe it is and maybe it isn't, and that's okay. Either way, we find something that we enjoy. Moving is so important in our lives, and what I believe to be true, which is interesting, the personal trainer side of me, it may be interesting to hear, but I really believe that you should move in a way that you enjoy. So if going to the gym and lifting weight isn't for you, that's okay. We find something that is something that you enjoy.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm a restless sleeper, and that's my favorite thing. So will that do? No.
Keep rolling around.
No, but yeah, so go to the gym and work it out. So do you consider yourself a personal trainer?
I have that certification with a certification in pelvic floor fitness as well. But over my years of doing this and I work predominantly with women and mothers. But over the years, I've noticed that the fitness part is very important. It's important to be strong and functional in your body. I believe we deserve and we have a right to live in a body that functions and that we love deeply just as it is. And that was the missing piece, because we can do all the workouts, we can reach the goals that we've set for ourselves, but if we aren't happy with ourselves and that mindset isn't there and we're not loving ourselves just as we are today, we're always going to be looking for something else. We can go, okay, like that was awesome, but, and look for the next thing. And even to be 100% honest, I've been thinking about this a lot as of late, actually. When I finished 100 miles, it was a huge accomplishment for me. But within a couple of weeks, I was like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Really?
And I've come to realize that that's because I wasn't happy with me, truly, just as I was. And that's the journey that I've been on for the past year since having my second daughter. And kind of being like, no, like these messages that I'm being sent as a mom, saying that I need to change, or that there's something wrong with me, lose weight, bounce back, fit into your pre-pregnancy genes, those aren't serving me. In fact, those are making me feel like there's something wrong with me and that there's something to be ashamed of about my body. And how am I supposed to build a positive relationship with my body when I'm being told all these things? So that for me was the missing element that I've added into all of the training that I do, and why I've kind of shifted that to like mind and body coach. because there has to be an equal part of mindset to what we're doing with our bodies to truly, truly have lasting change in our lives. And that's why we do mindset things, that we work on small little changes to start seeing ourselves for how we function, not how we look. And I had a little bit of that when I started running. That's when that started happening. And I've been, now looking back, I've been learning this stuff all this time. And I've actually been kind of teaching this stuff without realizing it and without doing it with intent that I am now. And that has made a huge difference. And that's now where I'm having women where their goals, yes, are, because I do pelvic floor, we definitely don't want you peeing your pants when you laugh, cough, sneeze, run, play with your children. You don't have to, that does not have to be a thing that you live with. But also hearing things like I wore a bathing suit in Florida and felt really good about it. That to me is like the biggest win I could possibly have in my business. And I do these things a lot because I have 2 daughters at home. And that has really been eye-opening. And I say my first daughter gave me my voice, and my second daughter gave me the courage to use it. So I always get teary-eyed when I talk about that. But so kind of what that means for me is that after the birth of my first daughter, I knew the change I wanted to see in the world. And then my second daughter has just taken me on a journey. And through the work I've been doing with her, I've kind of went, I'm allowed to have an opinion. I don't have to be a people pleaser anymore. I'm allowed to say what I think. And I have been doing that.
That's really wonderful. I want to ask you about your business, because you've referred to it, but I want to know, what exactly do you do and how did you start it?
Beautiful. So we're actually just rebranded as Embrace and Glow. And what I do is I help pregnant and postpartum women ignite their glow. And glow is basically that feeling of loving ourselves just as we are, of living in a body that functions as it should and that we feel strong and confident in. And
do you work with women who have gone through postpartum or are in postpartum depression?
Yes, obviously I am not a therapist, so I would obviously refer out. I work within the scope of my practice, so we would work on fitness and mindset and all of that stuff.
Because I have to tell you that I had postpartum depression after my daughter, and it snuck up on me, and I didn't realize that you can have postpartum depression occur up to a year after the birth. And so that really blew me away. And for me, it was about 3 or 4 months, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And my doctor, like, it used to be 2 and 3 hours sitting and waiting to see her because she was so busy. She was one of the few birthing doctors in town. And after sitting there and sobbing my heart out in the front room, probably scaring the devil out of everybody else. But anyway, she sent me to the hospital. Where they called down a psychiatrist, and he said, we'll put you on Zoloft. And I said, I can't take Zoloft, I'm breastfeeding. And he said, well, you have a choice, Zoloft or this. And he walked away. And I was so mad in my mind, I was cursing him. And I thought, screw you, I'm gonna fix myself. And I went home and got out the phone book. I don't know if my viewers all know what that is, but I went through the phone book and just anything that I could, I signed up for. And I went to Moms and Tots, and I went to the Barrie Community Health Center. They had a single parents program and a food program and just all kinds of wonderful things that I got involved in. And I also called the health unit, and I guess I was one of many calls, and they had a couple of nurses that started a program. But all we did was go and talk. I mean, it wasn't therapy. We just talked about what we were feeling and how we could get out of it. And I just think that's so important. So when you say mindset, I mean, I think it addresses.
Absolutely, and there is something to be said about when we are getting those messages sent to us, that's not helping our mental health as well. And even just having those conversations, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that so many people experience these things. I had pregnancy anxiety and postpartum anxiety, and just having people. I spoke with a therapist.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not helpful.
Oh no,
it
no,
absolutely is, but it's not necessary if you can't afford it or get it.
Right, and I mean, and there's something to be said if you need. Help on a large level, then yes, of course we need to go and know that it's okay. It's okay to go. It's okay if you need to take medication for things that are going on. And, like, it's totally okay, and you're not alone. And that was one of the main messages that I always wanted to share, was like you're not alone. And that goes with anything in motherhood, which is also why I do group programs. And the first half of those group programs, we talk. And I have usually a mindset theme for the week, and we chat. And it goes very deep some days when we're wonderful women who are comfortable sharing. It's a safe space, of course, to share. And yeah, we have really in-depth conversations about the challenges that we experience as mothers, most of the time with a focus on body and fitness, but other times it expands into other things. And it's just so important to know that you have other people who are also experiencing these things, and to be able to talk through these things. And know, and part of this too is knowing that issues like pelvic floor dysfunction, so pain, leaking, all of those kind of things, they aren't normal. They're very common, and you don't have to live with those things.
That's what I like. It's not normal, but it's common, and you don't have to live with it. Yeah.
Right, so because sometimes, a lot of the time, things like leaking is very normalized. So we're kind of like, oh, just wear, like, depends, it's fine. That's just what happens when you have a baby. And that messaging is not helpful. Yeah. Because sure, if you need to wear a panty liner or something while you're getting your body kind of functioning again, of course. But that doesn't have to be your answer forever. It just doesn't. See a pelvic floor physio, come and see me. There's lots of stuff that you can do. So that kind of messaging as well. It's a big journey that we're on after we have our babies, and it doesn't have to be right after. I have lots of women who I've helped 30 years postpartum. It's never too late to start. Yeah. Ever. And that goes with anything. It's never too late to start.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a cool message in this instance and throughout life, is it's never too late.
For anything.
For anything.
Yeah. And that kind of, even in this book, the gentleman who starts running is in his like mid to late 40s, which isn't old by any means, but it's also not. Some people are like, oh, I'm not in my 20s anymore. Like my father did his first ultra when he was 60. Wow. So it's possible, and there are things that we can always do stuff. So that's kind of a message I always like to leave with people as well, because I think that's a very positive message. And I am a cheerleader for women, and at first I thought that was a bad thing, and I thought that was kind of like, people are like, okay, like dial it down, but I was like, no, you know what, we need more of that. Yeah. You can find a ton of people telling you things that you need to fix about yourself online. How about having someone who goes, you can do it. Yeah. You're doing a great job.
And somebody who repeatedly says, you're okay.
Yes.
Just as you are.
Just as you are.
And if you want to tweak that because you want to, here's how we're going to do it.
Yes, where's it coming from?
Yeah, that's a really wonderful thing. Yeah. Well, Amanda, it's just been such a pleasure to have you here.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, you've got lots of information, and so your company is Embrace and Glow.
Embrace and Glow, yes.
And you're a mind-body coach.
Yes, and a glow igniter.
And a glow igniter. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's super. And thank you to my viewers for dropping into Epiphanies today. I hope you've enjoyed our talk with Amanda Ingram Cotton. Her company is Embrace and Glow. And just give her a call, give her a look, see what she's got going on, because it's pretty cool. Thanks for dropping by. We'll see you again.